Hello everyone, this is Dr.Syamala Devi from the Department of MBA International Business, Acharya Nagarjuna University. And coming to our today's topic, it is related to the contingency or situational approach. Okay, so in previous classes we have learned about classical theory, neoclassical theory and modern management theory. Under modern management theory we have studied about quantitative and systems approach, and the third aspect is contingency or situational approach. Okay, so what does this contingency approach means? Okay, the contingency approach, if we this contingency approach is also called as situational approach. Okay, so this approach is relatively a new approach to management. Okay, so it is an extension of the systems approach. Okay, after systems approach we have extended that systems approach. In systems approach we have studied that all the organization is a system having subsystems. Okay, so for that we have extended to contingency approach also. So it attempts to integrate the various school of management thought. Okay, so the basic idea of contingency approach is that there cannot be a particular management action which will be suitable for all situations. Okay, so for example, if there is any problem, okay, so for that problem we cannot apply every time for that problem the same principles or else the same theories or models, etc. Okay, so it depends upon the situation. Depending upon the situation you have to use the approaches. Okay, so the basic idea of contingency approach is that there cannot be a particular management action. Okay, specific management action which will be suitable for all situations. Okay, for all situations the same theory, the same principle cannot be executed. Okay, means we can say that it firmly rejects the blind application of principles regardless of realities of individual situations. Okay, so it is a very pragmatic and action oriented. It depends upon the situation. It treats each organization as a unique entity. Okay, so uniqueness means we all know that depending upon that organization's the affairs about its the internal aspects. Okay, the organization will be formed. So depending upon that, those organizations, these approaches or else the principles will be applied at the time of the problems. But for all the problems the same principle, the only one management action will not be taken. Okay, so according to this approach the management principles and concepts of various schools have no general and universal applicability. Okay, so there is no general and universal applicability, depends upon the situation. Okay, so if we want to say in other words, there is no one best way of doing things under all conditions. Okay, so we can say that for this. Okay, there is no best way. Okay, there is no best way to solve the problems. Okay, there is no one single best way, no best way. Okay, it depends purely upon the situations. Depending upon the situation we have to go, but there is for all the problems there is only a specific management control or else a specific management approach is there, we can apply that, means no. Okay, so accordingly here the methods and techniques which are highly effective in one situation may not work in other situations. Okay, so results differ because situation differs. Accordingly the contingency approach suggests that the task of managers is to try to identify which technique will work out in a particular situation, best contribute to the attainment of management goals. Okay, means here we have to use the techniques, we have to use the methods depending upon the situations. Okay, so managers have therefore to develop a set of situational sensitivity and practical selectivity. Okay, So we can say that this contingency approach as situation oriented, urging upon the managers to study, analyze and diagnose the situation. Okay, so the managers should study it, should analyze and should diagnose the problem, okay, depending upon the situation. So it is to be done in terms of component variables of the situation and external factors affecting the situation. Both should be there. Okay, so he has to study the entire situation. Okay, then he has to study the external factors. He has to see the what are the variables of the situation, then he has to find out the solution. Okay, likewise, after the analysis of the situation, the managers are expected to prepare inventories. Okay, so inventories of management theory, principles, techniques and concepts. If at all the same problem arises in the organization, so these will be helpful to them. Okay, so they are expected to prepare inventories of management theory, okay, principles, techniques, concepts, etc. Okay, after the analysis of the situation. And in order to tackle the situation efficiently, the validity and applicability of the management tools and techniques is to be examined, and finally package of these tools and techniques is to be prepared which is appropriate for that specific situation. First of all, in order to tackle the situations, okay, the validity and applicability of management tools and techniques to be examined. First of all, tools and techniques should be examined by the manager, examined. Okay, so he should examine the tools and techniques. Then afterwards, finally package of these tools and techniques to be prepared which is appropriate for that specific situation. Then the different situations require different managerial responses. Okay, so we can say that this contingency approach is the we can say that finally it is the outcome mainly of the research studies conducted by Tom Burns, B-U-R-N-S, Tom Burns, okay, and Starker, Joan Woodward, Paul Lawrence, J. Losh, and James Thompson, okay, and some other people associated with this contingency theory, in the development of this contingency theory. Okay, so these experts, what they have analyzed means they have analyzed the relationship between the structure of an organization and environmental conditions. One is structure of the organization, and other one is external environmental conditions. Okay, environmental conditions. They studied the relationship between these two, structure of organization and environmental conditions. And what happened, they identified two types of organizational structures. One is mechanistic and the other one is organic. Okay, so the contingent approach had a wide range applicability and practical utility in organization and management. So this is about the contingency or situational theory. So if you see the features, okay, so what does features means? First one is management is entirely situational. Okay, so the application and effectiveness of any technique is contingent on the situation. In other words, we can say that the conditions and complexity of the situation determine which measure or technique is applicable and which is effective. Okay, so that is the feature of this contingency approach, means it is entirely dependent on the situational. Depending upon the situation, they will apply. Okay, so they will measure and they will apply the techniques. Then another one is management policies and procedures should respond to environmental conditions. As I said before, here they have studied the relation between organization structure and environmental conditions. So according to that, management policies and procedures should respond to environmental conditions. Depending upon the changes in the environment, okay, they have to change their internal policies and procedures. This is depending upon the situations. Okay, means management should fit its approach to the requirements of the particular situation. So to be effective management, Policies, practices must respond to environmental changes. The organizational structure, the leadership style, and the control system all should be designed to fit the particular situation. Okay, then if you see the third aspect, managers should understand that there is no one best way to manage. Okay, they must not consider management principles and techniques universality. It will be dependent upon the situation, okay, which will determine the techniques and methods. We should not go blindly. Okay, we have to go according to the situations and apply the principles and techniques. Okay, and the last one is the no best way. Okay, no best way. Okay, so managers should understand that there is no best way to manage. They must not consider management principles and techniques universally. Okay, so these are the features regarding the situational approach or else the contingency approach. Then if you see uses and limitations, means contingency approach is pragmatic and open-minded. We have studied this. Okay, so open-minded, here they have to express their views and opinions according to the changes in the environment. They have to change. So it is purely dependent on the external environment. If there are any changes, immediately it has to change. So the policies and principles, they have to be changed. There should be a open-minded system. Okay, so then only if at all they can express their views and opinions, then they will have a good interrelationships and interdependence with the other departments, and depending upon the interdependence of the information from the other departments, if there are any changes in the environment, okay, they will try to change. So contingency approach is pragmatic and open-minded. So it dispels the universal validity of principles. So here principles are not taken into consideration. It purely depends upon the situations, external environment. It avoids value judgments and widens the horizons. Okay, so it avoids value judgments and widens the horizons of the practicing managers. So it depends purely on the experiences of the managers. It depends upon the situations. Then only it is going to apply there, but not universal principles, applicability of universal principles or else the models or else the methods. Okay, then it guides them to be alert and adaptive to environmental variables. So it guides them, this approach guides the managers to be alert and adaptive in nature, because if there are any changes in the environment, immediately they should be able to adapt those changes. Okay, so for that it guides them to be alert. Then it provides freedom of choice by liberating them from dogmas and set principles. So these persons are not restricted to principles, methods and procedures of the organizations. They behave, they have given freedom, okay, freedom of choice to execute the actions depending upon the situations. Okay, but they don't follow the principles, then therefore they get the opportunity to become innovative. So if whenever they are given freedom, okay, to express their views and opinions, and at the same time to set the principles by their experiences, okay, by their knowledge, depending upon the situation, it creates them to be very creative and innovative. Okay, then the contingent approach has a wide-ranging applicability and practical utility in the organization and management. Okay, then if you see what are the limitations, these two are the limitations. Okay, one is lacking of theoretical base. Okay, we don't have any theory, only it depends upon the situations and giving that, but we don't have any theoretical base for that. Likewise, a manager is required to think through all possible alternatives, because if at all there is any problem, we have studied in previous. Okay, so many variables we have to study. What is the effect of those variables? So how would be the problem solved? So different variables, possible alternative variables also should be studied, and then decision should be taken. So he has no cut or dried principles to act upon it. He has to act fully upon his own knowledge, thinking. Okay, so if you see the view of contingency, okay, what we can say means principles are not universal here. Okay, under this contingency theory, what we can say means principles are not universal here. Principles, methods, okay, models are not considered here. Only the situations are considered, and one learns about management by experience only. Okay, okay, by experience only. A large number of case problem situations. Managers face the task of determining what methods will work in every new situations. He will learn, okay. Why? Because here, see, if you see any management concepts, okay, for example, one is worked leader style, one is bureaucratic structure, okay. For some organizations, bureaucratic type of leadership, bureaucratic type of management may give positive results, like in government sectors. But in private sectors, if you go for bureaucratic type, means, okay, so much results may not be seen, okay. Means bureaucracy means stringent rules and regulations will be there. So we have to go according to the system, we have to go according to the organizations, depending upon the situations and depending upon the culture, values and the countries. So contingency means that thing, okay. Means the same cannot be applicable to all the organizations, depends upon the situation. So to integrate these views, contingency view emerged as illustrated in the diagram. See here, in the next slide we are going to see the diagram. So instead, certain contingencies or variables exist for helping management identify and understand situations. The contingency view means that managers' response depends on identifying key contingencies in an organizational situation, okay. So for example, a consultant might mistakenly recommend the same MBO system for a manufacturing firm, okay, that was successful in a school system. So the contingency view, see, basically MBO, management by objectives, means the subordinates and superiors, they will sit together and they will prepare the objectives, okay, and they will lay down the objectives of the departments, of their individual objectives and department objectives, everything they will set down depending upon their capabilities, okay, and they will work there, okay. But the same system may not be applicable to every organization, okay. So depends upon the situation, depends upon the organization, okay, etc. So the contingency view tells us that what works in one setting might not work in another setting, okay. So management job is to search for important contingencies. When managers learn to identify important patterns and characteristics of organization, they can fit solutions to those characteristics. First of all, the manager should know about his organization, features of the organization, characteristics of the organization, pattern of the organization. Then only he can find out the solutions which will fit to the organization, okay. Then if you see the diagram, means here, if he see about the case view, okay, case view it is dependent on the situation, every situation, case view. Then he will take decisions, okay. Organizational phenomena exist in logical patterns, contingency view, okay. And if you see universal list view, okay, applicability of as worldwide, okay. Universal applicability means there is one best way. Universal applicability means it will have one best way. But if you see only particularly to case view, means it is situation, it depends upon the situation. So similar response to managers devise and apply similar responses to common types of problems. If the problem is common, it is common in everywhere, okay. So for example, if we see absenteeism in the organization, so it is common for every organization. For that, there will be a one best way. That means it is universality view. Other than that, if at all there is any internal problems or internal disturbance in the organization, it will not be seen in every organization, okay. So for that, there will be a separate, it means situational principles, situational methods will be there to resolve those problems. So this is two types, case view and universal view. So for that, contingency view will be what means here, for case view, logical patterns will be there, and for this universality view, one best way will be there, principles, type, methods will be there, and they will apply, okay. Means managers device, here managers device will be applied, okay, and apply similar responses to common types of problems, okay. So this is about the contingency theory, okay.